They finally took him in for an eye test. And the doctor says, can you read this chart? He says, read it. He says, I know the guy. Bobby Orr, I've never met this night that Pat Quinn sort of leveled him. You know, we were sitting back in the room, and Bobby said to me, he says, you know, Jerry, he says, I got an awful lot to learn about the game. And I was trying to think of what I was going to say tonight, and I reflected back on this story, and I can remember him saying those words, I got an awful lot to learn. I said, gee, if he's got an awful lot to learn, we're all in plenty of trouble. And I said, learn. I said, maybe I can just speak what I learned from Bobby Orr. I learned that we all can't be as great as Bobby Orr because it's impossible. But I learned the reason he's a great hockey player, his dedication to the game, his unselfishness, his way he wants to be a team player. His direction was always in the fact of winning a hockey game, not his personal goals. He taught me, and I know all the players that played with Bobby, had the opportunity to play with him, have learned what a great team player he was. And I hope if I learned something from him, it's to be a halfway team player. And he certainly exemplified that in all walks of life. His unpublicized many visits to the Children's Hospital or to the youth banquets was just, it was uncalled for. His timeless hours there were fantastic, and no matter how we tried, we could never equal what Bobby Orr did. And I think that in itself was a great contribution to the city of Boston, the state of Mass, etc. But you know, I look back and I say, I played with Bobby Orr. My children know Bobby Orr, know how good he is, but I can hardly wait to tell my grandchildren that I played with the greatest hockey player of all time. Thank you.
I've known Jerry for about 10 or 12 years. The first time I've ever seen his face, I always thought those black lines were a childhood problem there, kid. And all of a sudden you look at Mike Andrews down here, Charlie Finley's favorite infielder. You know, the other night he and Marilyn were coming over to the house for some dinner. He only had to make 2 turns from where he was coming from. Don't you know he blew one of them? Gary Doak holds the NHL record for most goals scored by a defenseman against his own goalie. Rico, you have not escaped. Rico Petrocelli, one of the nicest, sweetest guys that you ever want to meet. Has the biggest collection of baseball cards in Boston. Of course, every one of them was a number 6. But he's got a goal. His goal is to grow up and be like Cliff and Clef. We've got another surprise guest for you, another curtain caller. One of the best. The 2 most devastating pitchers I have ever seen in my career. The 2 best. If there was a game on the line where my life was on the line, I'd have one of these 2 guys pitch it for it. First one would have been Catfish Hunter, and the next one, roll the cartridge, please. 1975 World Series against the Cincinnati Reds. Our man from Havana, Louie Louie. 1968 set the all-time American League ER record with Cleveland, 1.60. Watch Louie's adeptness on the base paths. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the great guys of our time, Mr. Louis Tiant. Got a very droll fella coming up for you now. fellow who's very big, prominent, political circles here in Commonwealth. Political satirist from WBZ Channel 4, Mr. Dick Flavin.
Thank you, Hawk. What a terrific night this is, huh? Isn't this fabulous? And how about our master of ceremonies? I think he's done a terrific job. And not only is Ken Harrelson a great talent, you know, he's a wonderful, wonderful guy. We were talking up here a little earlier, and he gave me a terrific deal on some Nehru suits. Wonderful. Cashman bought a couple of them. Well, as I look up and down this head table, it's easy to see that the flower of the Boston sports world is here. Maybe an occasional weed here and there. Perhaps even a pansy or two, you never know. And Bobby, Governor King had hoped to be here tonight, but he found out there was no lobster on the menu. I don't know if you've been reading about that. I'll fill you in on the details. This is a ballad about lobster salad, which is very tasty to munch. But the cost of it's high, it's expensive to buy. So should Ed King have it for lunch? The question's been raised within recent days, do the taxpayers get a good deal if Ed's busy at work and summons a clerk to have Deanie's deliver a meal? And when he works late at night and it's time for a bite, is it a terrible trait to eat Jimmy's food or maybe stop at Pier 4 and charge the whole thing to the state? That's Ed's style, you know. It's the best way to go. And it's also worthy of note